Еще около 10 минут до начала. Поэтому, во-первых, я хотел извиниться за некоторую жесткость рамочек вокруг видео. А во-вторых, я хотел заранее сказать то, что я буду сегодня несколько тормозить. Потому что, как бы я не хотел этот стрим провести для себя, в конечном итоге я, походу, веду его для вас. Потому что я что-то очень хочу спать. Но я не хочу сдаваться, пока не дочитаю эту книжку до конца. Благо, не очень много осталось. Ну, наверное, это и к лучшему, в том плане, что интонация у меня будет более спокойная и более... А кто знает, может потом еще родится второе дыхание, и я вообще разгонюсь. Вот. Собственно, да. Книжка называется «Artemis», автора Энди Вейера. Заинтересовала она меня, потому что я увидел рекламу в метро. Симпатичная загадочная девушка на обложке. Симпатичный слоган, который звучит как «Ты родился на Луне, конечно же, у тебя будет темная сторона». Мне очень импонирует такой слоган. Вот. И да, я не знаю, что-то с кондачка решил взять, почитать, ну вот, и дочитался. Вот. В последнее время мне что-то ее тяжело все было закончить, и я, так сказать, решил убить двух зайцев сразу. Провести стрим, закончить книжку и заодно с вами пообщаться. Может быть, у вас какие-то вопросы есть, может быть, нет. В любом случае, рад буду как-то посодействовать, я не знаю. Вот. Если краткий сюжет этой книжки, до того момента, пока я дочитал, речь идет о героине под именем Джаз Башара. Она контрабандист на Луне, а также работник. Да, на Луне, потому что типа в недалеком будущем люди организовали все-таки колонии на Луне, чтобы заниматься там бизнесом и не только, и жить, и прочее. И она одна из первых, кто родился на Луне и вырос на Луне вообще, в принципе. Вот. И один раз ей приходит задание, в ходе которого она, рискуя жизнью, почти его выполняет, но ее заказчика внезапно убивают. И она находит себя в положении, что ей необходимо, во-первых, понять, кто охотится за ее заказчиком, вследствие за ней. Во-вторых, понять, что это за мистический такой контейнер, который она вначале увидела, еще загадкой с ним. Ну и в-третьих, разбогатеть, стать успешной, я не знаю. Это то, ради чего она изначально это начинала. Она просто хотела денег. А в итоге ввязалась в криминальную авантюру, которая происходит на Луне. Вот. Собственно, так. Закончил я на 10 главе. Собственно, да, читать буду на английском. Поэтому заранее прошу простить мой чудовищный акцент. И да, в общем-то и целом такое дело. Да, что-то я еще хотел сказать насчет этой книжки. Да, Да, и изначально, когда она общалась со своим заказчиком, там рядом с ним сидел какой-то китайский владелец, китайский бизнесмен или что-то типа того, который хотел, которому очень нужен был вот этот вот таинственный контейнер. И он остался единственной зацепкой ее после того, как всех поддельников порешали. И она, собственно, выходит на него. Но прикол в том, что когда она дошла до его квартиры, там оказался чувак, который решил на нее укуситься и убить ее. Потом там выясняется то, что те чуваки, которых она подставляла, чтобы заработать денег, они оказываются какими-то чуваками из мексиканского картеля или что-то типа того. В общем, один хрен разберешь. Вот. Сейчас, одну минуту. Я посмотрю состояние стрима, и мы поедем. Да, состояние стрима достойное. Все неплохо. Все неплохо. В общем, 51 минута. Чуть раньше начинаем. Уж простите. Закончилось это на том моменте, когда Джаз Башара чудом уцелела в попытке вот этого чувака ее нагнать. И она договорилась с этим самым китайским бизнесменом теневым встретиться в мастерской своего отца, где никого нет, чтобы обсудить всю эту дребедень, проблему и мистическую мишуру, которая происходит. Собственно, так оно и есть. The thing that sucks about life or death situations is how boring they can be. I waited in that shop for 3 hours. I didn't have to show up at 5 a.m., but I'd be damned if I was going to let Jing Chu show up before I did. I leaned the chair against the back wall of the shop, right next to the air shelter, where I'd snuck my first cigarette. I remember damn near puked from all the smoke that built up, but hey, when you're a rebellious teen and you think you're making a statement, it's worth it. Take that, daddy. God, I was such a dipshit. I checked the clock on the wall every 10 seconds as 8 a.m. approached. I fiddled with a handheld blowtorch to pass the time. Dad used it to shrink seals onto pipe fittings. It wasn't welding, but you had to do it in a fireproof room, so he offered it as one of his services. Так, минуточку, ребят, я сделаю минутку чуточку потише. Все-таки она немножко отвлекает. I kept my finger by the ignition trigger. It wasn't a gun. There were no guns in Artemis. But it could hurt someone if they came too close. I wanted to be ready for anything. The far door opened at 8 o'clock on the dot. Jing Chu stepped through gingerly. He hunched his shoulders and darted his gaze round like a frightened gazelle. He spotted me in the corner and waved awkwardly. Hi. You're punctual, I said. Thanks. He stepped forward. Sure, I... Stay over there, I said. I'm not feeling super trusting today. Yeah, okay. He took a breath and let it out unevenly. Look, I'm really sorry. It wasn't supposed to go like this. I just thought I could make a few bucks, you know? Like a fighter's fee? I tossed the blowtorch from one hand to the other, just to make sure he saw it. For what? What the hell is going on around here? For telling Tron and O Palacio about Zepho, in separate confidential transaction, of course. I see. I scowled at the weaselly little shit. And then you made more money by selling out Tron to O Palacio when their harvesters blew up? Well, yeah, but it's not like that was going to stay secret. Once he took over the oxygen contract, they would have worked it out. How did they find out I did the sabotage? He looked at his feet. I groaned. You are such an asshole. It's not my fault. They offered me so much money. How did you even know I did it? Tron told me. He gets chatty when he's drunk. He frowned. He was a cool guy. I didn't think anyone would get hurt. You just thought you'd stir up a billionaire and mop syndicate and nothing would happen. Fuck you. He fidgeted for a few seconds. So, do you have the Zepho sample? The case from my hotel room? Yes. Not here, but it's safe. Oh, thank God. He loosened up a bit. Where is it? First, tell me what Zepho is. He winced. It's kind of secret. We're past secrets now. He looked truly pained. It's just... It cost a lot of money to make that sample. We had to launch a dedicated satellite with a centrifuge to grow it on low Earth orbit. I'll be super duper fired if I go home without it. Fuck your job. People got murdered. Tell me why. He let out a heavy sigh. I'm sorry. I'm just so sorry. I didn't want any of this to happen. Apologize to Lynn Landwick, I said. She is the crippled teenager who is now an orphan. Tears formed in his eyes. No, I have to apologize to you too. The door opened again. Lefty stepped in. His right arm still hung in a sling. His left arm, however, held a knife that could gut me like a trout. I shook all over. I wasn't sure if it was a terror or rage. You son of a bitch! I'm so sorry, Jinshu sobbed. They were gonna kill me. This was the only way I got to live. I clicked the trigger and the blowtorch flamed to life. I held it out at arm's length toward the approaching Lefty. Which part of your face you want creme brulee, asshole? You make it hard. I make it hurt, said Lefty. He had a thick accent. This can be quick. Doesn't have to hurt. Jinshu covered his face and cried, and I'm going to get fired too. God damn it, I yelled to him. Will you stop whining about your problems during my murder? I grabbed a pipe from the workbench. There was something weird about being on the moon fighting for your life with a stick and some fire. Lefty knew if he lunged I could block with the pipe and give him a face full of blowtorch. What he didn't know was that I had a more complicated plan. I swung the pipe with all my strength at a wall-mounted valve. The resounding metal-on-metal clank was followed by the scream of high-pressure air. The valve shot across the room and smacked into the far wall. While Lefty paused to consider why the hell I'd done that, I leapt to the ceiling. Not hard here. The average person can jump 3 meters straight up. At the top of my arc, I blasted a fire sensor with a blowtorch. Red lights blinked and the fire alarm blared throughout the room. The door slammed shut behind Jinshu. He jerked out in shock. As soon as I hit the ground, I bounded into the air shelter and slammed the door behind me. Lefty was hot on my heels, but he didn't catch me up in time. I spun the crank to seal myself in. Then I jammed the pipe into the crank's spokes and held onto the other end. Lefty tried to turn the crank from the other side, but he couldn't overcome my leverage advantage. He glared at me through the air shelter's small round window. I flipped him off. I could see Jinshu clawing out at the door trying to get out. Of course it was no use. It was a fireproof room's door, solid metal, clamped shut with a mechanical interlock that could only be opened from the outside. The foggy airflow from the broken valve slowed and pattered out. Dad's wall valve connected to gas cylinders and he refilled every month. Lefty stormed to the workbench and grabbed a long steel rod. He came back to my shelter, breathing heavily. I got ready for a life-or-death game of circular tug-of-war. He panted and wheezed as he stuck the rod into the handle. He pushed hard and I was able to hold firm. By all rights, he should have won. He was bigger, stronger, and had better leverage, but I had one thing he didn't: oxygen. The gas that had just filled the room? Neon. Dad had wall-mounted neon valves because he used it so much when welding aluminum. The fire system had sealed the air vents, so the workshop was full of inert gas. You don't notice neon when you breathe it. It just feels like normal air, and the human body has no way to detect a lack of oxygen. You just plug along until you pass out. Lefty fell to his hands and knees. He shook a bit, then collapsed to the floor. Jinshu lasted a little longer. He hadn't exerted himself as much, but he succumbed a few seconds later. Let's meet so I can protect you. Did he really think I'd fall for that? I pulled out the heartbeat's gizmo and dialed Rudy's number. I didn't want to, but I had no choice. Either I could call him, or the fire brigade volunteers would when they arrived. Might as well get a jump on it. Artemis didn't have a police station, just Rudy's office in an Armstrong bubble. Its holding cell was nothing more than a repurposed air shelter. In fact, it was Dad who'd installed it. Air shelters don't have locks, of course. That would massively defeat the purpose. So Rudy's cell had a metal chain with a padlock around the crank. Crude, but effective. The usual occupants of the cell were drunks or people who needed to cool off after a fist fight. But today it held Lefty. The rest of the room wasn't much larger than the apartment I'd grown up in. If Rudy had been born a few thousand years earlier, he would have made a good Spartan. Jinchu and I sat handcuffed to the metal chairs. This is some bullshit, I said. You poor innocent thing, said Rudy without looking up from his computer. Jin rattled his handcuffs. Hey, I actually am innocent. I shouldn't be here. Are you fucking kidding me? I said. You tried to kill me. That's not true, Jin pointed to Lefty's cell. He tried to kill you. I just set up the meat. If I hadn't, he would have killed me on the spot. Chicken shit. I value my life more than yours. Sue me. We wouldn't be in the mess if you hadn't been so blatantly obvious with your sabotage. Fuck you! Rudy pulled a squirt bottle from his desk and sprayed us both. Hush, he said. Jin winced. Now, that's just unprofessional. Quit bitching, I said, shaking the water off my face. You may be used to taking shots in the face, but I'm not, he said. Okay, that was a good one. Go fuck yourself, I said. The door opened and Administrator Ngugi stepped in. Because, why the hell not? Rudy glanced over. You. Constable, Ngugi said. She looked over to me. Jasmine, how are you, dear? I showed her my handcuffs. Is that necessary, Constable? Is it necessary for you to be here? Rudy asked. I could have sworn the temperature dropped 10 degrees. You'll have to excuse the constable, Ngugi said to me. We don't see eye to eye on everything. If you'd stop coddling criminals like Jess, we'd get along better. She waved her hand as if shooing a bug. Every city needs an underbelly. It's best to let the petty criminals do their thing and focus on bigger issues. I grinned. You heard the lady, and I'm the pettiest of them all, so let me go. Rudy shook his head. The administrator's authority over me is questionable at best. I work directly for KSC, and you are going nowhere. Ngugi walked over to the air shelter and peeked through the window. So, this is our murderer? Yes, said Rudy, and if you hadn't spent the last decade hampering my attempts to drive out organized crime, those murders wouldn't have happened. We've been through this, Constable. Artemis wouldn't exist without syndicate money. Idealism doesn't put gunk on people's plates. She turned to face Rudy. Did the suspect have anything to say? He refuses to answer questions. He wouldn't even tell me his name, but according to his gizmo, his name is Marcelo Alvarez, and he is a freelance accounting consultant. I see. How sure are you that this is the man? Rudy turned his computer to face Ngugi. The screen showed medical lab results. Doc Russell dropped by earlier and got blood sample from him. She says it matches the blood found at the crime scene. Also, the wound on his arm is consistent with the knife Irina Vetrova had in her hand. The blood DNA matched, Yubi said. Russell doesn't have a crime lab. She compared blood type and enzyme concentrations. They matched. If we want a DNA comparison, we'll have to send samples to Earth. It'll take at least 2 weeks. That won't be necessary, Yubi said. We only need enough evidence to warrant a trial, not to convict him. Hey, Jinchu interrupted. Excuse me, I demand to be released. Rudy squirted him with a bottle. Who is this man? Rudy asked. Jinchu from Hong Kong, Rudy said. Couldn't find any record of where he works, and he isn't forthcoming about it. He said it trapped so Alvarez could kill Bashar, but claims he did it under duress. Alvarez was going to kill him if he didn't. We can hardly blame him for that, she said. Finally, someone with common sense, Jin said. Deport him to China, said Ngugi. Wait, what? Jin said. You can't do that. Of course I can, she said. You are complicit in a plot to murder someone. Coerced or not, you're not welcome here. He opened his mouth to protest again, and Rudy pointed the squirt bottle at him. He thought better of it. Ngugi sighed and shook her head. This is troubling, very troubling. You and I, we're not friends, but neither one wants murder in our city. On that, at least we agree. And this is new. She clasped her hands behind her back. We've had murders before, but it's always been a jealous lover, an angry spouse, or a drunken brawl. This was professional. I don't like it. Was your gentle hand with petty crime worth it? Rudy asked. That's not fair. She shook off the gloom. One thing at a time. There is a meat ship launching today for the Guardian Cycler. I want Mr. Jin on it. Report to Hong Kong with no legal complaints. Hang on to Mr. Alvarez for now. We need to collate the evidence for the courts. Where's he going? Landwick was Norwegian and Vetro was Russian. I see, said Boogie. If you commit a serious crime, Artemis deports you to the victim's country. Let their nation exact revenge on you for it. It's only fair, but Lefty, I guess I should call him Alvarez, had killed people from 2 different countries. Now what? I'd like you to let me pick this one, Rudy said. Why? Rudy looked to the cell. If he cooperates, I'll send him to Norway. If not, he'll go to Russia. Where would you rather be tried for murder? Excellent strategy. I see you're a little Machiavellian yourself. That's not, Rudy began. You should release Jasmine, though, don't you think? She said. Rudy was taken aback. Certainly not. She's a smuggler and a saboteur. Allegedly, I said. Why do you care so much about Jazz? He asked. Sanchez Aluminum is a Brazilian company. Do you want to deport her to Brazil? She'd be lucky to last a day there before Opalacio killed her. Does she deserve to die? Of course not, Rudy said. I recommend deportation without complaining to Saudi Arabia. Decline, Rudy said. This is ridiculous, he said. She's clearly guilty. What is your fixation with this girl? Girl? I said, I'm 26. She's one of us, Boogie said. She grew up here. That means she gets more leeway. Bullshit, Rudy snapped. I'd never heard him swear before. There's something you're not telling me. What is it? Boogie smiled. I'm not deporting her, Constable. How long would you like to keep her handcuffed here? Rudy thought it over, then pulled the key from his pocket and unlatched my handcuffs. I wrapped my wrists. Thanks, Administrator. Stay safe, dear. She walked out of the office. Rudy glared as she left. Then he shot me a look. You're not safe. You're better off confessing to your part in this and getting deported to Saudi Arabia. It's easier to hide out there than here. You're better off eating shit, I said. Palacio won't give up just I caught their fixer. You can be sure they'll send another one in the next meat ship. First of all, duh, I said. Second off, I caught him, not you. And finally, how'd he track my gizmo? Rudy frowned. That does bother me. I'll be on my way. If you need to reach me, you know the identity I'm using. He'd confiscated my heartbeat gizmo when he arrested me. I picked it up off his desk. You've had plenty of opportunities to kill me, and haven't done it. Thanks for the vote of trust. You should stay around for me your own safety. You should stay around me for your own safety. It was tempting, but I couldn't. I didn't know what my next move would be, but it would definitely be something I could do with Rudy watching. I'd better on my own, thanks. I turned to Jinchu. What's that for? Suck a dick! Get out, Rudy said to me. Come back if you want protection. Fine, fine, I said. Hartnell's had its usual crowd of quiet, borderline alcoholics. I knew each of them by face, if not name. There were no strangers that day, and none of the regulars even glanced my way. Business as usual at my watering hole. Billy poured me a pint of my usual grog. Aren't you on the run or something? I wriggled my hand. Yeah, kinda. Was Alvarez the only thug Palacio had in town? Maybe. Maybe not. I mean, how many people would you assign to our lunar mafia money laundering operation? At least I knew one thing. They couldn't have sent anyone new. Not yet. It takes weeks to get here from Earth. Is it wise to come round your favorite pub then? Nope. It's one of the stupidest things I've ever done, and that's a field of intense competition. He threw a towel over his shoulder. Then why? I swayed my beer. Because I made a deal. Billy looked past me to the entrance and widened his eyes. Core, there's a face I haven't seen in ages. Dale walked up to his old stool next to mine and sat down. He grinned from ear to ear. A pint of your worst, Billy. On the house for ya, Billy said. He filled a pint for Dale. How's me favorite Ars Bandit? Can't complain. Still do though. Har! He slid the pin to Dale. I'll leave you two hate birds alone. Dale slipped his beer and smirked at me. I wasn't sure if you'd show. Deal's a deal, I said, but if someone shows up to kill me, I might need to leave early. Yeah, about that. What's going on? Rumor has it you're tangled up in the murders. Rumor's right. I drained my glass and tapped it twice on the bar. Billy slid me another. He had poured it in advance. I was the next intended victim. Rudy caught the murderer, right? The news sites say it's some Portuguese guy. Brazilian, I said. Doesn't matter. They'll just send another one after. I've got a short break at best. Shit, Jess, is there anything I can do? I stared him in the eyes. We're not friends, Dale. Don't you worry about me. He sighed. We could be. In time, maybe. I don't see it happening. Well, I've got one evening a week to change your mind. He smiled at me. Smug little fucker. So when did you do the harvester job? Trunk was going to pay me a big pile of money. Yeah, but he looked pensive. I mean, it's not your style. It was risky, and you're really smart. You don't take risk unless you have to. You're not desperate for cash or anything, so far as I know. I mean, yeah, you're poor, but you're stable. Do you own loan sharks or something? No. Gambling debt? He asked. No, stop it. Come on, Jazz, he leaned in. What's the deal? This doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't have to make sense to you. I checked my gizmo. We have 3 hours and 52 minutes left until midnight, by the way. Then it won't be evening anymore. Then I'm just going to spend 3 hours and 52 minutes asking the same question. Pain in my ass, I sighed. I need 416,922 slugs. That's a very specific number. Why do you need it? Because fuck you, that's why. Jazz? No, I snapped. That's all you're getting. Awkward silence. How's Tyler? I asked. Is he happy? Yeah, he's happy, said Dale. We have our ups and downs like any couple, but we work at it. Lately he's frustrated with the electrician's guild. I snickered. He's always hated those fuckers. Is he still non-guild? Oh, of course. He'll never join. He's a very good electrician. Why would he go out of his way to get paid less? Are they squeezing him? I asked. One of the downsides of having almost no laws, monopolies, and pressure tactics. Dale seesawed his hand. A little. Some rumor mongering and deliberate price undercutting. Nothing he can't handle. If they go too far, let me know, I said. What would you do? Dunno, but I don't want anyone fucking with him. Dale held up his glass. Then I pity anyone who fucks with him. I clanked my glass against his and we both took a sip. Keep him happy, I said. I'll sure as hell try. My heartbeat gizmo buzzed. I pulled it out and took a look. It was a message from Svoboda. This Zaffo shit is amazing. Meet me at my lab. Just a sec, I said to Dale. I tapped out a response. When did you find out? I take too long to type. Besides, I want to show you what it can do. I said. Problem? Dale asked. A friend wants to meet, but last time I met someone, it was an ambush. Need backup? I shook my head and typed on my gizmo. Honey, I know what you're after, but I'm too tired for sex right now. What are you talking about? Swoda responded. Oh, I see. You're being weird to find out if I'm being coerced. No, Jess, I'm not setting you up. Just being cautious. I have an obligation at the moment. Meet at your lab tomorrow morning. Sounds good. Oh, and if I'm being coerced in the future, I'll work the word dolphin into the conversation, okay? Copy, I responded. I put the gizmo back in my pocket. Yeah. Dale pursed his lips. Jazz, how bad is it? Well, people want to kill me, so yeah, pretty bad. Who are these people? Why do they want you dead? I waved due of my beer glass. They're a Brazilian crime syndicate called the Palacio. They own Sanchez Aluminum, and they know I did the Sanchez Harvester sabotage. Shit, Dale said. You need a place to hide out? Yeah, I'm good, I said. Then, after a few seconds, I added, But if I need help, I'll remember your offer. He smiled. Well, that's a start anyway. Shut up and drink your beer. I emptied my glass. You're 2 pints behind. Oh, I see how it is, he gestured to Billy. Barkeep, some little girl thinks she can outdrink me. We'll need 6 pints. 3 for the gay and 3 for the guy. I awoke in my hidey hole, sore, groggy, and hungover. Probably hadn't been a good idea to get wasted in the middle of all this shit, but as I've established, I make poor life choices. I spent a few minutes praying for death, then I drank as much water as I could stomach and emerged from the compartment like a slug. I ate some dried gunk for breakfast, you tasted less this way, and wandered off to the public bathhouse on Bean Up 16. I spent the rest of the morning there soaking in the tub. Then it was off to a middle-class clothing store on Bean Up 18. I'd been wearing my jumpsuit for 3 straight days. It could almost stand up on its own at this point. Finally, I was sort of human again. I walked along the narrow corridors of Armstrong until I reached the ESA lab's main entrance. A few scientists wandered the halls of the wave tour. Svoboda opened the door before I even had a chance to knock. Jazz! Wait till you see. Well, you look like shit. Thanks. He produced a package of mints and poured a few into my hand. No time to mock your alcoholism. I gotta show you Zappos shit. Come on. He left me through the entryway and into his lab. The whole place looked different. He dedicated the main table to Zappo analysis and shoved everything else to the walls to make room. Various pieces of equipment, most of it a mystery to me, covered the table. He bounced from one foot to another. This is so awesome. Okay, I said, what's got you in such a tizzy? He sat on a stool and cracked his knuckles. First thing I did was visual examination. You looked at it, I said. You can just say I looked at it. By all accounts, it's a normal single-mode fiber optic line. The jagged buffer and cladding are all routine. The core fiber is 8 microns across, totally normal. But I figured there'd be something special about the core, so I cut up some samples and... You cut it up, I said. I didn't say you could cut it up. Yeah, I don't care. He tapped one of the devices on the left table. I used this baby to check the core's index of refraction. That's pretty important for the fiber optic. I picked up the 5 centimeter snippet of Zappo from the table. And you found something weird? Nope, he said. It's 1.458. A little higher than fiber optics usually are, but only a tiny bit. I sighed. Svoboda, can you skip over the ways it's normal and just tell me what you found? Alright. He reached over to a handheld device and picked it up. This baby is how I cracked the mystery. I know you want me to ask what that is, but honestly, I don't. It's an optical loss test set, ALTS for short. It tells you how much attenuation a fiber optic cable has. Attenuation is the amount of light that gets lost to heat during transmission. I know what attenuation is, I said, but it really didn't matter. Once Svoboda got going, there was no stopping him. I've never known anyone who loved his work as much as that guy. He set the ALTS back on the table. Now, a typical attenuation for a high-end cable is around 0.4 decibels per kilometer. Guess what Zappo's attenuation is? No. Go on, guess. Just tell me. It's 0. Fucking 0. He formed a circle with his arms. 0. I sat on the stool next to him. So, no light gets lost in the transmission at all? Right. Well, at least as far as I can tell, the precision of my ALTS is 0.001 decibels per kilometer. I looked at the Zappo snippet in my hands. It has to have some attenuation though, right? I mean, it can actually be 0. He shrugged. Superconductors have 0 resistance to electrical current. Why can't there be a material with 0 resistance to light? Zappo, I rolled the word around in my mouth. 0 attenuation fiber optic? Oh, he smacked his forehead. Of course. What's it made of? He spun to a mounted machine. That's where my spectrometer came in. He stroked it gently. I called her Nora. And what did Nora have to say? The core is mostly glass, but no big surprises there. But most fiber optic cores are. But there were also trace amounts of tantalum lithium and germanium. Why are they in there? The hell if I know. I rubbed my eyes. Okay, so why is it so exciting? You can use less energy to transmit data. Oh, it's way more awesome than that, he said. Normal fiber optic lines can only be 15 kilometers long. After that, the signal's just too weak to continue. So you need repeaters. They read the signal and retransmit it. But repeaters cost money. They have to be powered and they're complicated. Oh, and they slow down the transmission too. So, with Zafo you don't need repeaters. Right, he said. Earth has huge data cables. They run across entire continents under the ocean, all over the world. Just think of how much simpler it would be without all those repeaters mucking shit up. Oh, and it would have very transmission errors. That means more bandwidth. This shit is fantastic. Great, but is it worth killing over? Well, he said, I suppose every telecom company will want to upgrade. How much do you think the entire planet Earth's communication network is worth? Because that's roughly how much money Zafo is going to make its owners. Yeah, that's probably murdering money. I pinched my chin. Дайте чуть-чуть сейчас прервемся. Я посмотрю состояние стрима, вдруг он отрубился. И я посмотрю, может быть, нас кто-то смотрит вообще, а может нет. Кто же его знает. Но пока двинулись мы неплохо. Так. Ну да, стрим идет. Удивительная вещь. Вы, ребят, не стесняйтесь, если что. Задавайте вопросы. У меня вроде как чат включен, но только я не совсем знаю, работает он сейчас или нет. Ну, короче, пишите, а там посмотрим. У меня ноутбук рядом открыт. Может быть, это даже к чему-то приведет. Может быть, нет. Я не знаю. Ох, ё. Так. Сейчас. Блин, в компьютерных очках это читать, конечно, не очень удобно. Все такое желтое. Не текстовые очки ни разу, что-то не тендерс. Наверное, проще будет без них. Такие. Прям глаза ослеплены. Сейчас. I pinched my chin. The more I thought about it, the less I liked it. Then the pieces all fell into place. Oh, god damn it. Whoa, said Svoboda. Who's shitting your Rice Krispies? This isn't about aluminum at all. I stood from the stool. Thanks, Svobo, I owe you one. What? He said, what do you mean it's not about aluminum? Then what is it about? Well, I already had a head of steam going. Stay strange, Svobo. I'll be in touch. The administrator's office used to be in Armstrong bubble, because that was the only bubble. But once Armstrong became all loud noises and machinery, she relocated. Nowadays, she worked out of a small one-room office on Conrad up 19. Yep, you heard me. The administrator of Artemis, the most important and powerful person on the moon, who would literally have any location rent-free, chose to work in the bluest of blue-collar areas. If I were Ngugi, I'd have a huge office overlooking the Aldrin Arcade, and it would have a wet bar, and lever chairs, and other cool, powerful people stuff. And a personal assistant, a beefy yet gentle guy who called me boss all the time. Yeah. Ngugi didn't have any of that. She didn't even have a secretary, just a sign on her office door that read Administrator Fidelis Ngugi. To be fair, it's not like she was president of the United States. She was effectively the mayor of a small town. I pressed the doorbell and heard a simple buzz emanate from the room beyond. Come in, came Ngugi's voice. I opened the door. Her office was even less fancy than I'd expected. Spartan even. A few shelves with family photos jutted out the raw aluminum walls. Her sheet metal desk looked like something from the 1950s. She did at least have a proper office chair. Her one concession to personal comfort. When I'm 70 years old, I'll probably want to have a nice chair too. She typed away on a laptop. The older generation still preferred them to gizmos or speech interface devices. She somehow carried grace and aplomb even while hunched over at her desk. She wore casual clothes and, as always, her traditional cuckoo headscarf. She finished typing a sentence, then smiled at me. Jasmine, wonderful to see you, dear. Please have a seat. Yeah, thanks. Yes, I'll sit. I settled into one of those empty chairs facing her desk. She clasped her hands and leaned forward. I've been so worried about you, dear. What can I do to help? Uh, I have a question about economics. She raised her eyebrows. Economics? Well, I do have some knowledge in that area. Understatement of the century. This woman had transformed Kenya into the center of the global space industry. She deserved a Nobel Prize. Two, really. One for economics and another for peace. Um, what do you know about Earth's telecom industry? I asked. That's a broad topic, dear. Can you be more specific? What's it worth, you think? Like, what kind of revenues do they pull down? She laughed. I could only hazard a guess, but the entire global industry, somewhere in the $5 to $6 trillion per year range. Holy shit! Pardon my language, ma'am. Not a problem, Jasmine. You've always been colorful. How do they make so much? Oh, they have a huge customer base. Every phone line, every internet connection, every TV cable subscription, they all create revenue for the industry, either directly from the customer or indirectly through advertising. I looked down at the floor. I had to take a moment. Jasmine? Sorry, kind of tired. Well, to be honest, I'm hungover. She smiled. You're young. You'll recover soon, I'm sure. Let's say someone invented a better mousetrap, I said. A really awesome fiber optic cable. One that reduced costs, increased bandwidth, and improved reliability. She leaned back in her chair. If the price point were comparable to existing cables, it would be a huge boon, and the manufacturer of that product will be swimming in money, of course. Yeah, I said. And let's say the prototype of this new fiber optic was created in a specially made satellite in low Earth orbit, one with a centrifuge on board. What would that tell you? She looked puzzled. That is a very odd discussion, Jasmine. What's going on? I drummed my fingers on my leg. See, to me that means it can be created in Earth's gravity. It's the only reason to make a custom satellite. She nodded. That sounds reasonable. I take it something like this is in the works. I pressed on. Oh, but the satellite has a centrifuge, so they do need some force. It's just that Earth's gravity is too high. But what if the moon's gravity were low enough for whatever process they're using? This is an oddly specific hypothetical, dear. Humor me. She put her hand on her chin. Then obviously they could manufacture it here. So, in your expert opinion, where's the better place to manufacture this imaginary product? Low Earth orbit or Artemis? Artemis, she said. No question. We have skilled workers and industrial base and transport infrastructure and shipping to and from Earth. Yeah, I nodded. That's kind of what I thought. This sounds very promising, Jasmine. Have you been offered a chance to invest? Is that why you're here? Is this invention is real? It's definitely worth putting money into. I wiped my brow. Conrad App 19 was always a comfortable 22 degrees Celsius, but I was sweating nonetheless. I looked her in the eyes. You know what's strange? You didn't mention radio or satellites. She cocked her head. I'm sorry, dear, what? When you talked about the telecom industry, you mentioned internet, phone, and TV, but you didn't bring up radio or satellites. Those are certainly parts of it as well. Yeah, I said, but you didn't mention them. In fact, you only talked about the parts of the industry that rely on fiber optics. She shrugged. Well, we're talking about fiber optics, so that's only natural. Except I hadn't brought up fiber optics yet. You must have. I shook my head. I've got very good memory. She narrowed her eyes slightly. I pulled a knife from my boot holster and held it at the ready. How did Opalacio find my gizmo? She pulled the gun from under the desk. Because I told them where it was. Bad. Bish. будет следующая глава. Только мне нужно перезагрузить на компе чат довольно быстро. 2 минуты. Две минуты, ребят. Мне нужно остановить чат. И все будет зашибись. Ну ладно, короче, чат открыт. Thumbnail потом добавим. Мне всегда обидно, когда этот самый thumbnail он не показывается с самого начала, но ладно. У меня вопрос. Так. Ну, оставим чат здесь и продолжим. A gun? I said. How did a gun get into the city? I never smuggle weapons. I've always appreciated that, she said. You don't have to keep your hands up. You do, however, have to drop that knife. I did as I was instructed. The knife floated down to the floor. She kept the gun pointed at me. May I ask, how did you come to suspect me? Process of elimination, I said. Rudy proved he wasn't selling me out. You were the only other person with access to my gizmo location info. Reasonable, she said. But I'm not as sinister as you think. I gave her a dubious look. But you know all about Zepho, right? Yes. And you're going to make a shitload of money off of it. She She scowled. Do you really think so little of me? I won't make a single slot. But then, why? She settled back into her chair and relaxed her grip on the gun. You were right about the gravity. Zepho is a crystalline quartz-like structure that only forms at 0.216 grams. It's impossible to make on Earth, but they can make it here with a centrifuge. You're such an intelligent girl, Jasmine. If only you'd apply yourself. This is turning into you have so much potential lecture, just shoot me instead, okay? She smiled. She could be grandmotherly even while holding a gun, like she'd give me a butterscotch candy before putting a hole in my head. Do you know how Artemis makes its money? Tourism? No. I blinked. What? We don't make enough from tourism. It's a large part of our economy, yes, but not enough. But the economy works, I said. Tourists buy stuff from local companies, companies pay employees, employees buy food and pay rent and so on. And we're still here, so it must be working, right? What am I missing? Immigration, she said. When people move to Artemis, they bring their life savings with them. Then they spend it here. As long as our population kept growing, that was fine. But now we've plotted. She angled the gun away from me. She still had a good grip on it, but at least she wouldn't kill me by mistake if she sneezed. The whole system has become an unintentional Ponzi scheme, and we're just cresting the top of the curve now. For the first time, my attention was torn away from the gun. Is this whole city going bankrupt? Yes, if we don't take action, she said. But Zepho is our savior. The telecom industry will want to upgrade, and Zepho can only be cheaply made here. There will be a huge production boom. Factories will open, people will move here for jobs, and everyone will prosper. She looked up wistfully. We'll finally have an export economy. Glass, I said. This has always been about glass, right? Yes, dear, Ruby said. Zephon is amazing material, but like all fiber optic, it's mostly glass, and glass is just silicon and oxygen, both of which are created by aluminum smelting. She ran her hand along the sheet aluminum desk. Interesting how economics works, isn't it? Within a year, aluminum will be a byproduct of the silicon industry, and then aluminum will be handy too. We'll have a lot of construction to handle the growth we're about to have. Wow, I said. You really are all about economics. It's what I do, dear, and in the end, it's the only thing that matters. People's happiness, health, safety, and security all rely on it. Damn, you're good at this. You created an economy for Kenya, and now you're doing it for us. You're a true hero. You should really be more grateful. Oh, that's right, you fucking sold me out. Oh, please. I knew you weren't stupid enough to turn your gizmo without taking precautions. But you did tell Al Palacio where my gizmo was? Indirectly. She set the gun down on the table, too far away for me to lunge at it. She'd grown up in Warzone. I wasn't about to test her reflexes. A few days ago, IT reported a hack attempt against the Gizmo network. Someone on Earth was trying to get your location info. I had IT deliberately disable security and let the hacker in. Actually, it was more complicated than that. They downgraded one of their network drivers to one with a known security flaw, so the hacker had to work on it a little. I don't know the details, I'm not a tech person. Anyway, the end result is that the hacker installed a program that would report your location if you turned on your gizmo. Why the hell did you do that? To throw out the murderer, she pointed to me. As soon as you turned on your gizmo, I alerted Rudy to your presence. I assumed El Palacio would tell their man Alvarez as well. I hoped Rudy would catch him. I frowned at her. Rudy didn't seem to know anything about it. She sighed. Rudy and I have a complex relationship. He doesn't approve of syndicates or indirect measures like I had taken. He'd like to be rid of me, and in all honesty, the feeling is mutual. If I'd warned him the killer was coming, he would have asked how I knew. Then he'd look into how the information got out, and that would cause trouble for me. You put Rudy on a collision course with a murderer and didn't warn him. She cocked her head. Don't look at me that way. It makes me sad. Rudy is an extremely skilled police officer who knew he was entering a potentially dangerous situation, and he almost caught Alvarez right then. My conscience is clear. If I had it to do over, I'd do the same thing. Big picture, Jasmine. I folded my arms. You were at Tron's a few nights ago. Have you been in this from the beginning? I'm not in on anything, she said. He told me about Zaffo and his plans to get into the silicon business. He wanted to talk about Sanchez's oxygen contract. He had reason to believe they were going to be in breach soon and wanted to make sure I knew he had oxygen when that happened. That didn't make you suspicious? Of course it did, but the city's future was at stake. A criminal syndicate was about to control the most important resource on the moon. Tron offered me a solution. He'd take over the contract, but with 6 months renewals. If he artificially inflated prices or tried to control too much of the Zaffo industry, he'd lose the contract. He'd rely on me to keep renewing, and I'd rely on him to feed the Zaffo boom with silicon. There would be a balance. So what went wrong? She pursed her lips. Jinchu. He came to town with a plan to make as much money as possible, and by God, he succeeded. He told Tron about Zaffo months earlier, but Tron wanted a sample to have his people examine, proof that Zaffo really existed and wasn't just some fairy tale. So Jinchu showed him that Zaffo and Tron paid him, I said, and then Jinchu turned right around and sold the information to El Palacio. That's the thing about secrets. You can sell them over and over again. Slimy little bastard, she sighed. Just imagine what a revelation that was for Opalacio. All of a sudden, their insignificant money laundering company was poised to corner an emerging billion-dollar industry. From that point on, they were all in. But Artemis is very far away from Brazil, and they only had one enforcer in sight. Thank God. So what happens now? Right now, I'm sure Opalacio is buying as many tickets to the moon as they can get. Within a month, Artemis will be swarming with their people. They'll own Silicon Productions, and that damn oxygen for power contract will ensure no one can compete. And they already started their next phase, taking over the glass manufacturing industry. She gave me a knowing look. Простите. Oh fuck, I said. The Queensland glass factory fire. Yuki nodded. The fire was almost certainly set by Alvarez. Busy little fellow, wasn't he? Once Opalacio sets up their own glass factory, they'll have both production and supply line locked down. And of course, they'll kill anyone who tries to get in their way. That's the breed of capitalism we can expect from now on. You're the administrator. Do something about it. She looked to the ceiling. Between their financial base and physical enforcers, they'll own the city. Think Chicago in the 1920s, but 100 times worse. I'll be powerless. It would be a nice thing if you actually helped in some way. I have been helping, she said. Rudy had you pegged as the saboteur right away. He showed me the video footage of that ridiculous disguise you wore to the visitor center. I hung my head. He wanted to arrest you right then. I told him I wasn't convinced and needed more evidence. I knew that would buy you some time. Okay, so why did you become my guardian angel? Because you're a lightning rod. I knew Opalacio would have at least one enforcer in town. You drew him into the open. Now he's caught. Thank you. I was bait? Of course. You're still bait. That's why I intervened yesterday and got Rudy to release you. I don't know what Opalacio will do next, but whatever it is, they'll do it to you. You, I said, you're a real bitch. You know that? She nodded. When I have to be. Building a civilization is ugly, Jasmine, but the alternative is no civilization at all. I glared at her with pure contempt. She wasn't impressed. So what the hell am I supposed to do now? No idea. She gestured it to the door. But you better get started. I crawled back into my hiding place and sealed the panel behind me. I curled up into a ball in the dark. I was so goddamn tired I should have fallen asleep right then, but I couldn't. It all caught up with me. Constant danger, poverty, anger, and worst of all, sheer unmitigated fatigue. I'd gone beyond sleepy to what my father used to call overtired. He usually used that term while chucking my cranky 8-year-old ass into my bunk for a forced nap. I tossed and turned as much as I could in the cramped confines. No position was comfortable. I wanted to pass out and find someone at the same time. I couldn't think straight. I had to get out of there. I kept talking to the panel. Who gives a fuck if someone sees me? I didn't. Where now? I mumbled to myself. I felt a wet droplet hit my arm. I looked to the ceiling. The frigid air of being down 27 often made condensation points. Water surface tension versus lunar gravity meant a bunch of it had to build up before it started dripping. But I didn't see anything above me. Then I touched my face with my hand. Oh, God damn it. The source of the water was me. I was crying. I needed a place to sleep, really sleep. If I'd been thinking clearly, I would have gotten a hotel. Googie wouldn't help Palacio find me again. Right that moment, I didn't trust anything electronic. I considered going to the Imam's house where Dad was. The Imam would take me in, and at some feral level I wanted my daddy. I shook my head and admonished myself. Under no circumstances would I tangle Dad up in all this shit. 15 minutes later, I slogged down a corridor to my destination. I rang the door buzzer. It was past 3 in the morning, but I was past politeness. After a minute, Svoboda opened the door. He wore full-body pajamas because apparently he had just traveled to the moon from 1954. He looked at me through bleary eyes. Jazz? I need... My throat closed. I almost fell prey to hysterical crying. Get your shit together. I need to sleep. Svoboda, oh God, I need to sleep. He opened the door farther. Come in, come in. I trudged past him. I'm so tired, Svoboda. I'm just so tired. Yeah, it's okay. He rolled his eyes. Take the bed. I'll set up some blankets on the floor for myself. No, my eyes had already closed of their own accord. Floor's fine for me. My knees buckled and I collapsed. The moon is a nice place to pass out. You hit the ground very gently. I felt Svoboda's arms pick me up. Then I felt the bed, still warm from his body. Blankets covered me and I nuzzled into the cocoon of safety. I fell asleep instantly. Lucky bitch. I awoke to that a few seconds of pleasant amnesia before it gets in the morning. Unfortunately, it didn't last long. I remembered the previous night's antiques and winced. God, it's one thing to be a pathetic weakling, but it's another to do it in front of someone. I stretched out in Svoboda's bed and yawned. It wasn't the first time I'd awakened in some guy's place, worn out and full of regret, but I'll tell you what, it was the best night's sleep I'd had in a long time. Svoboda was nowhere to be seen. A pillow and blanket, and the floor showed he was quite a gentleman. It was his bed. I should have been the one on the floor, or we could have shared. My boots stood neatly together next to the nightstand. Apparently he'd taken them off while I slept. Other than that, I was fully clothed. Not the best way to sleep, but better than having someone undress my unconscious body in the night. I pulled my gizmo from my pocket to check the time. Holy shit, it was well into the afternoon. I'd slept 14 hours. The nightstand next to me had 3 gun bars in a neat stack with a note on top. Jazz, breakfast to you. There's juice in the fridge. Follow that. I notched in a gun bar and opened his mini fridge. I had no idea what the juice was, but I went ahead and drank it. Turns out it was reconstituted carrot apple juice. It tasted like shit. Who the hell puts those things together? Ukrainians, apparently. I pondered ways to pay him back. A really nice meal. No, a cool piece of lab equipment. Have sex with him? Just kidding on that last one, of course. I snickered at the thought. Then I stopped snickering but hung on to the thought. Whoa, I needed to finish waking up. I took a nice long shower and reminded myself what I was really working toward. A shower of my own. It's damned pleasant to walk 3 meters and be in a private shower. Damned pleasant. I didn't want to wear my grungy slept-in clothes, so I raided Svoboda's closet. I found a suitable t-shirt and threw it on over my underwear. Sadly, Svoboda had no women's undergarments in his closet. I would have had some questions for him if he had. The shirt hung on me like a short dress. Svoboda is considerably taller than I am. Okay, I was rested, clean, and had a clear head. Time to settle down and do some serious thinking. How would I get out of this? And he sat at the desk and plugged in my gizmo. The desk's built-in monitor rose from its cubby and showed my desktop icons. I cracked my knuckles and extended the keyboard tray. Over the next 2 hours, I sipped carrot apple juice, it grows on you, and researched Sanchez Aluminum, their operations, leadership, revenue estimates, you name it. Since they were a private company owned by Santiago Holdings Incorporated, which I assumed was Brazilians for O Palacio, there wasn't much publicly available information. I looked up Loretta Sanchez and found a paper she'd written about her refinements to high temperature smelting. I had to take a break to learn some basic chemistry, but I found all that online pretty easily. Once I understood it, I had to admit she really was a genius. She'd revolutionized the whole system and made it practical for use on the moon. I'd still beat her ass if I met her, don't get me wrong. I must have been at it for a couple of hours because Svoboda finally came home from work. Oh, hey, he said. How are you feeling? I tore my attention away from the monitors to see what had caused his mental reboot. He was just kind of staring at me. I looked down. I was still wearing just the shirt I'd liberated from his closet. I was pretty sexy, I have to admit. Hope you don't mind, I gestured to the shirt. No, he said, no problem. It looks good. I mean, it hangs well. I mean, how your chest makes it, I watched him flounder for a second. When all this is over, if I'm still alive, I'm going to give you a woman lessons. Why, what, huh? You really need to learn about women, and how to interact with them, right? Oh, he said, that could be really helpful, yeah. He took off his lab coat. Подождите минуту, я закрою окошко, потому что комаров прилетело уже прилично. Раз. Заодно посмотрим, сколько человек смотрит, и спорим один. Да. Один. Окей. Погнали. Я надеюсь, я, не вырублюсь. 3200, вторая страница, а тут 305. Еще получается 103 страницы. Фух. Выдержим. Так, я эту фигню читал сейчас где-то час. То есть получается еще где-то часа 3. Окей. Хорошо. Сука. О. Хорошо. Так. Oh, he said that could be really helpful, yeah. He took off his lab coat and hung it on the wall. Why did he wear his lab coat home instead of leaving it at the lab? Because men like fashion accessories too, they just don't admit it. Looks like you slept well, he said. What are you up to now? Looking into Sanchez Aluminum, I said, I have to figure out a way to shut them down. That's my only hope of survival at this point. He sat on the bed behind me. Are you sure you want me to screw with them? What are they going to do? Kill me harder? They're already after me. He looked at the screen. Oh, is that their smelting process? Yeah, it's called the FFC Cambridge process. He perked up. Oh, that sounds cool. Of course it did. So what is just the kind of guy. He leaned to get a better look at the screen. It showed the chemistry at each step of the smelting process. I've heard of the process, but I never learned the details. They're guarding the harvester now, I said, so I'll have to go after the smelter itself. You got a plan? He asked. Yeah, the start of one, I said, but it means I have to do something I hate. Oh? I have to get help. He held out his arms. Uh, well, you got me. Whatever you need. Thanks, buddy. I'll take you up on that. Don't call me buddy, he grumped. I hesitated. Okay, I won't call you buddy. Why not? Math lessons, he said. Someday I'll give you math lessons. I rang the doorbell for the fourth time. She was in there. She just didn't want to answer. The main entrance to the landing estate stood littered with flowers from well-wishers and mourners. Most of the flowers were synthetic, but a few wilting bouquets revealed how truly wealthy some of the Tron's friends were. I never thought I'd miss the sight of Irina's scowling face, but I sadness overwhelmed me when I realized she wouldn't be the one opening the door. Then again, maybe no one would answer at all. I rapped the door with my knuckles. Lean, it's Jazz. I know this isn't a great time, but we need to talk. I waited a bit longer. I was about to give up when the door clicked open. That was as much invitation as I was going to get. I stepped over the constellation bouquets and through the door. The once brightly lit foyer stood dark. Only the dim light from the sitting room filtered in to give any illumination at all. Someone had drawn a dozen or more circles on one wall where the blood spatter used to be. The actual blood was gone, presumably cleaned by professional service after Rudy and Doc Russell were done with the scene. I followed the light into the sitting room. It too had changed for the worse. All the furniture was shoved against walls. The large Persian rug that once adorned the floor was nowhere to be seen. Some things just can't be clean. Lean sat on the couch in the corner, mostly in the dark. As a well-fit teen girl, she usually put hours into her appearance. Today she wore sweats and a t-shirt. She had no makeup on and dry tears streaked her face. Her hair was in a loose ponytail, the universal sign of not giving a fuck. Her crutches lay askew on the floor. She held a wristwatch in her hand and stared at it with a blank expression. Hey, I said in that lame tone people use when talking to the bereaved. How you holding up? It's a Patek Philippe, she said quietly. Best watch manufacturers on earth. Self-winding, chronograph, time zone, you name it. Nothing but the best for Dad. I sat on the couch next to her. He had it modified by top watchmakers in Geneva, she continued. They had to make a replacement self-winding weight out of tungsten, so it would have enough face to work in lunar gravity. She leaned over to me and showed me the watch's face. And he had them change the moon face indicator to an Earth face indicator. It was tricky too, because Earth's face go in the reverse order. They even modified the time zone dial to say Artemis instead of Nairobi. She clasped a band around her thin wrist. It's way too big for me. I'll never be able to wear it. She angled her arm downward. The watch slid off and fell to the couch. She sniffled. I picked it up. I didn't know anything about watches, but it sure looked nice. Diamonds denoted each hour on the face except 12. That had an emerald. Rudy has the guy who did it, I said. I heard he'll rot in a Norwegian jail for life or be executed in Russia. Won't bring Dad or Rena back, she said. I put my hand on her shoulder. I'm sorry for your loss. She nodded. I sighed just to feel the awkward silence. Look, Lynn, I don't know how much Tron told you about his business dealings. He was a crook, she said. I know, I don't care. He was my dad. The people who killed him owned Sanchez Aluminum. El Palacio, she said. Rudy told me. I never even heard of them before yesterday. She put her face in her hands. I expected a crying jack. She was entitled to one. But it didn't come. Instead, she turned to me and wiped her eyes. Did you trash Sanchez's harvesters? Did Dad put you up to it? Yes. Why? She asked. He wanted to take over the aluminum industry. Well, the silicon industry, actually. Interrupting Sanchez's production would let him get a city contract he needed to make that happen. Lynn stared ahead blankly. О, так, окей. Lynn stared ahead blankly, then slowly nodded. Sounds like him, always working an angle. Look, I have an idea, I said, but I need your help. You need a crippled orphan? A crippled orphan billionaire, yeah. I pulled my leg. No. Блин. Так, во-первых, я прям люто врубаю сейчас. Во-вторых, я чувствую, что надо музыку вырубить, потому что она слишком успокаивающая, наверное, слишком успокаивающая. И камень тоже. Окей. Я просто нахрен врубаюсь. Извините, ребят. Это не то, что вы, наверное, хотели увидеть. Так. Ну, я так вам скажу. Я, конечно, разочарую, но, походу, я книжку все-таки сегодня не дочитаю. Я хочу дочитать ее... Точнее, сегодня я могу ее дочитать, но с перерывом часов в 10 я просто посплю, проснусь и продолжу читать ее уже до конца. И затем я, походу, перенесу свой понедельничный стрим на... Ну, то есть тот, который я планировал, вот на 10 число как раз-таки. Тот, о котором я вывесил не предупреждение, а как это сказать, анонс. Он будет идти в другой день. Потому что я хочу доделать этот стрим, и я не рассчитал свои силы. Я думал, что я смогу 2 дня подряд фигачить стримы. То есть сегодня ночью, после рабочего дня, и завтра с утра, как только проснусь. Но я понимаю, что это просто unreal. И что нужно просто выспаться, доделать завтра книжку. Причем нормально доделать не в сонном состоянии, а в нормальном приподнятом, веселом, я не знаю, как это назвать. И просто перенести стрим, который и запланировал на завтра, потому что это прям unreal. Ну тогда получится, что на этой неделе будет 2 стрима, получается. Один книжечный, понедельник. Он не нон-стоп стрим будет, он как пит-стоп стрим. Пит-стоп стрим это означает, что этот стрим, он, как сказать, ну что, в нем можно брать перерывы, короче говоря. Нон-стоп стрим там без перерывов, пит-стоп стрим это с перерывами. Вот. Значит, такая фигня. Ребят, прям, не знаю, это, конечно, очень тупо. Но, опять же, что поделаешь. Надо... Никогда стримов не вел. Точнее, вел, но не такие. И теперь понимаю, что это дает. Как это делать. Вот. Поэтому сейчас я дочитываю главу 11. Ложусь спать. И затем уже продолжим после. Вот так. После того, как встану. Хорошо. Так. Я так рад, что ты отнес это к другому формату, пит-стоп стрим, потому что, блин, если бы это был нон-стоп стрим, я бы просто сдох бы сейчас. Потому что нон-стоп стрим, там главный принцип это не прерываться нахрен вообще. И вот это была бы жопа просто. Пит-стоп стрим для отдыха, мать его. Сложно назвать отдыхом. Я, блядь, уже, наверное, год так не, не хотел спать и при этом не мог спать. Точнее, мог, но просто понимал, что не хочу спать. Хочу спать физически, но не хочу спать морально. Сейчас дочитаю и все. И так, вырублюсь. Окей. You need a crippled orphan? Crippled orphan billionaire. Yeah. I pulled my leg up onto the couch so I could face her girl to girl. I'm going to follow through with Tron's plan. I'm going to stop Sanchez's oxygen production. I need you to be ready to take over the contract. Once you do, Opalacio will be willing to sell you Sanchez aluminum. Why would they sell to me? Because if they don't, you'll make your own company undercut their prices with your free power and bankrupt them. They're mobsters, but they're also businessmen. You'll be offering them a big payoff to walk away with. Their alternative is watching the company collapse. They'll take the deal. You own all of Tron's holdings, right? Not yet, she said. It's billions of euros, dollars, yen, and every other currency under the sun, plus entire companies, stock portfolios, God knows what else. I'm in a trust until I'm 18. The probate's going to take months, maybe years. Not for his Artemision slugs, I said. Our lack of regulation works in your favor. His accounts became yours the instant Doug Russell declared him dead. And I hear he converted a fuck ton of money into slugs to prep for the Sanchez purchase. You have the money to make it happen. She stared into the distance. Lean? It's not the money, she said. It's me. I can do this. I'm not dead. He was a master of this stuff. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I turned the watch over my hands. The platinum back had Norwegian text engraved on it. I held it in front of her. Huh. What's that say? She glanced over. Himelan R.E.K. Grenson. It means the sky's not the limit. He was a confident man, I said. Got him killed. I reached into my pocket and pulled out my Swiss Army knife. With the help of its tweezers, I detached the set pins from the metal watch band. I removed 3 links and put the pins back in. I took Lynn's hand and slid the watch onto her wrist. She gave me a confused look, but offered no resistance. I snapped the clasp shut. There, now it fits. She shook her arm and the watch remained in place. It's heavy. You'll get used to it. She looked at the watch face for a long time. She wiped a mote of dust from the glass. I guess I'll have to. So? I prompted. Okay, I'll do it. She stared straight ahead. Take the fuckers down. I'd never noticed before, but she had for her father's eyes. Да, тут еще вставки в конце некоторых глав. Ее переписка с некоторым Келвином. Это чувак, который на земле, с которым она переписывается, который обеспечивал ее контрабандой. Я не знаю, куда это идет, но это какой-то сабплот, который должен чем-то определенно закончиться. Dear Kelvin, thanks for helping me earlier. I was in deep shit. Now I'm in slightly shallower shit because I'm at war with a company called Sanchez Aluminum. I'll give you the full story later. For now, I need another favor. Sanchez Aluminum smelting facility is in a mini bubble near the reactors. The reactor smelter complex is a kilometer from town. I did some research and found a 20-year-old article about the negotiations between Sanchez and the KSC. KSC got really hands-on in the smelter's design process, and Sanchez didn't like it. They almost went to litigation in Kenyon's court. Sanchez's argument was, it's our smelter, we don't need approval from anyone, fuck off. KSC's counter was, it's 200 meters from our reactors, we need to know if it won't blow up. Give us approval rights or we won't rent you the space, you little shits. Ultimately, KSC won because they own the mini bubble. They never sell property. They're all about rent. Anyway, the upshot is KSC must have detailed schematics of the Sanchez smelter somewhere, like super detailed with every potential failure case analyzed and covered. I need you to get a hold of those documents. I know you work in a totally different part of KSC, but you still have access most people don't. Feel free to spread some money around the process of... I'll pay you back. Dear Jazz, the plans are enclosed. They were surprisingly easy to get. No, part of them was considered a company's secret or industrial process. Sanchez kept the exact chemistry in the smelter to themselves, but everything else was right there in their architectural plans. Mhm. I have a drinking buddy in the metallurgy lab in Building 27. They'd been consulted as part of the safety overview. He pulled the plans up on his boss's computer, which has no password protection. All I had to do was buy him a beer. So the cost was 2 beers. Have to have one myself, of course. Call it 50 slugs. Dear Calvin, thanks, buddy. Make it 75 slugs and have another beer on me. Фух. Fuck. Это сложно читать, когда ты хочешь спать. Для этого нужен свежий мозг. Ну, в принципе, пока что делаю перерыв до завтра. Завтра я, значит, так, просыпаюсь, привожу себя в порядок, дочитываю книжку. Нет, привожу себя в порядок, изменяю анонс, который я делал на сегодня, и редактирую, делаю новый. Что типа невозможно будет сегодня провести нон-стоп, поэтому она откладывается на другой день. Возможно, сообщу на какой. И да, доделаю книжку и все. Я думаю, еще 3 часа мне хватит примерно. Вот. Спасибо. Спасибо, что посидели со мной. Я думаю, что зрителей сейчас не особо или сколько-то. Ну, один есть. Ну, в общем, спасибо вам. Все. До завтра. Заходите. Я думаю, где-то часов с 2 дня примерно. Вот так вот. Всего доброго.